Today, we're breaking down the anatomy of a really disturbing online crime. We're going to explore what happens when a trusted member of a community crosses an incredibly dangerous line and how the justice system works to hold them accountable. So let's start with just a number 10. This isn't just a digit. In this case, it represents a decade of consequences. 10 years in federal prison. That's the sentence for a former pre-kindergarten teacher whose crime was committed entirely online. So let's unpack exactly how a verdict like this was reached. Let's start with the sentence itself and get to know the man at the center of this case, Tony Leroy Bartley Jr. Okay, when you look at the facts of the case, they are just stark. The defendant, Tony Leroy Bartley Jr., was a pre-K teacher, which makes the charge of attempted child enticement even more disturbing, right? He got a 10-year prison sentence, but that's not where it ends. The sentence also includes another 10 years of supervised release. So we're talking about a total of 20 years under the watch of the justice system. So on April 23rd, 2024, that sentence became official. A 38-year-old man, someone who was once entrusted with the care of very young children, was held accountable for targeting someone he believed was a minor online. Now, to really understand how the court landed on this sentence, we need to go back and look at the investigation that led to his arrest in the first place. So how was he actually caught? Well, this wasn't a matter of luck or a random tip. It was the result of a very carefully executed undercover operation. And this timeline, it really reveals just how quickly this whole crime escalated. I mean, look at this. Over just 4 days, Bartley was sending messages to an undercover FBI agent who was posing as a 13-year-old. On that fourth day, he crossed a critical line, suggesting sexual acts and sending an explicit photo. Just 1 week later, he was arrested. The digital trail he left behind, well, that forms the very backbone of the case against him. He communicated with someone he was told was 13 years old, he sent graphic descriptions of his intentions, and he even sent a photo of himself. It created this undeniable digital record of everything he did. But that digital evidence, as damning as it was, wasn't the only thing that sealed this case. After his arrest, Bartley's own words became a key part of the prosecution's entire narrative. Just listen to this. This is a direct quote from his interview with FBI agents. "I should have stopped at 13. It's such a chillingly casual admission of a calculated choice. He's acknowledging the age, 13, as the specific boundary he knew he was violating. He wasn't confused about it, he was completely aware. And then he immediately followed that up with this statement, "I'm going away for a long time." This shows you he had an instant understanding of the gravity of his actions. There was no ambiguity in his mind about the consequences he was about to face. You see, these statements were absolutely critical because they confirmed not just his actions, but his intent. His own words effectively turned a digital trail into a full confession. Now, it's really important to understand that a case like this doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It was actually part of a much larger, coordinated national effort. This case falls under a huge national initiative called Project Safe Childhood. It was launched by the Department of Justice way back in 2006, and it was created to marshal resources from all levels of law enforcement to combat online child exploitation. The mission is really a 4-step process. It starts with locating predators, often through exactly the kind of undercover work we saw in this case. From there, it's about apprehending the suspects, prosecuting them to the absolute full extent of the law, and then, ultimately, rescuing child victims and seeking justice on their behalf. And this case perfectly illustrates that collaboration. You've got federal agencies like the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office working directly with local partners. In this instance, the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. This kind of partnership is absolutely essential for tackling these complex online investigations. So, we end with this question. The story of Tony Bartley is more than just one case. It offers us a glimpse into the huge, ongoing battle to protect children online. It reveals the anatomy of justice in our digital age. And it forces us to ask, what does this single case tell us about the challenges that still lie ahead?